because you stay at home, you sit down for like a minute, and then say, okay, let's go.
There are many of superstitions in Russia. Like some of them I never heard. Like going under the ladder.
Babushka's care.
Oh yeah.
The Russian babushka is more than just a grandma. It's a way of life and mindset. You can't call yourself babushka if you're not asking your grandchildren whether they ate 3 or 4 times a day. And babushkas are always grumbling that grandchildren are not dressed warm enough, even if they're older than 30.
In Russia, sometimes the connection with your babushka is even stronger than with your parents.
Yeah, it's exactly like that in Pakistan.
Okay.
Yeah, because grandchildren are like closer to their grandparents than their own parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Russia, grandmas, they would, as I said before, we value family or friends a lot. So if you're an old person, you literally have like that one thing to attend to is your grandkids.
Right.
They will just go crazy about their grandkids. So they will feed them all the time. They will make sure they're like healthy and everything. So they will dress you up. And if you're 30 years old, they're like 80, and they'll still think you're 5-year-old, that little kid who runs around. They'll be safe there too. For me, you always be 5, you know, always.
Can you connect to that?
Yeah, definitely.
In a way, like certain, like your grandparents or your parents, like care to a point. Sometimes you will be like, oh shit, man, they care too much.
Definitely. My babushka cares cares for me most of my other brothers because I'm the youngest.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely I can relate to that.
Yeah, I don't know, like we do definitely have families where your grandma is like extremely close to you. And it kind of depends how close they live, because like, because I'm mixed race, right? So I've got the Scottish on one side, Jamaicans on the other. Like all my Jamaican family live in Luton or around Luton. So like we knew.
Yeah, that's a huge community.
Yeah. So like my nan and granddad, we were proper close to them. They were like involved in our lives in that. So they would be more of a babushka, if you want to. Whereas on my mum's side, just purely because of the distance between us, it's not as much.
To go. Now about to go. After visiting your babushka, you will certainly find yourself hauling bags of food home. And there are several things that you should do before leaving. Taking a seat before a long journey is almost a sacred ritual. Often you can sit right on your suitcase. Of course, that's a superstition, but Russians take it very seriously.
Before the long journey, we usually take a seat, we sit down on the suitcase or on the bags which you are traveling with, and it means that you will have a good luck during your journey or something like that.
No,
even if the suitcase is really small, like mine, you know that, and I do that. I really do.
One of them, which is also important, if you go out and you go back because you forgot something, that's bad luck.
Okay.
So you'll have to look in the window, or in the mirror. So just check yourself. You just do that. Not because, not because, And before you leave somewhere, as it says here, you need to sit down. You need to sit down, appreciate, you living, and it's gonna be fine. Because if you don't sit down, the trip is not gonna go well.
It's actually an old tradition, not only from Marines. It says that it's a religious tradition actually. If a demon is following you and you're trying to move somewhere else, instead of bringing you bad luck, you say, okay, I'm going, and then you treat him so you actually stay in home. So it will go outside the house, like presuming you went out to go and cause something bad on your way, but then it's confused because you stay at home, you sit down for like a minute, and then say, okay, let's go.
There are many of superstitions in Russia. Like some of them I never heard. Like going under the ladder is bad. Black cat, everywhere.
Yeah, that's why I didn't put that in, because there are certain ones that just like people don't really follow it anymore. But this is already kind of like, when it's superstition is more like a part of culture. That people do, like a ritual that people use. They maybe not even believe into whole like this journey will not be successful. It's like a sit down before you leave out.
But did they actually talk about it though? So like if a kid was about to leave and go traveling around the world or something, would his parents be like, alright, time to sit down?
Yep.
Seriously?
Yep.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have that. That's cool.
It's like, let's see before we go out.
Sunflower seeds, a good way to relieve stress. Sunflower seeds are like popcorn. You can't stop until you eat the whole bag. Nibbling on these seeds is an art form, especially when you're trying to separate them from the shells with your teeth and tongue.
Yeah. Have you ever tried that?
For sure, yeah. I mean, I don't like them particularly, but like, you can find a lot of people, and especially in Saudi, love all sorts of seeds. It's really, yeah, it's really an art form. I agree.
It's an art form.
Yeah.
It's like a therapy, man. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true in Russia actually. Especially babushkas would sit next
Yeah,
to the home and
Yeah.
they would eat the sunflower seeds all the time.
Some of them are really skilled. Like they can like
Yeah.
do it
Yeah, man,
in
it's
just a
so-
fraction of a second. Yeah.
Sunflower seeds. Do you eat sunflower seeds here?
I do, but I'm vegetarian weirdo. Like I'm not a normal British guy. So
Yeah, so we really like them. We really like sunflower
Yeah,
seeds.
like that's what I found. Like that's I never heard anyone eating sunflower seeds like Russian people.
Yeah, it's not a normal thing. Like,
Yeah. We
Okay.
just-
For us, it's like a therapy too. Sometimes, you know, it's like I mean, I guess you grow out of it certain times. Like it might be not the part of your like life forever, but as long as when I was a kid, like that was like a thing all the time. Like you would buy like sunflower seeds, see with your friend. It's like a connecting point. I guess.
Okay.
Like,
You do that as well, like just sit and chill. eating some
My
food.
grandfather would always eat them. He would buy from big huge bags on the market, so it's cheaper. Not in like
Right.
well, they're already prepared nowadays, but you'd have big bags. And he'd buy how much he wanted. He'd go back home. He'd switch on the TV and he would fry them himself.
Yeah,
Okay.
frying is the
Sit
best.
down.
Okay.
He would eat them just
Yeah.
See, I was thinking
by
eating them
himself.
raw, like-
By himself. He doesn't tell anyone because he doesn't want to know.
We do with peanuts as well.
Peanuts.
Yeah,
So that's the thing.
yeah, peanuts and sunflower seeds as well. But yeah, peanuts is more common.
A bag for your bags. Food stores in Russia usually offer plastic bags to take your goods home, but Russians never throw the plastic bags out. Those bags can be used as garbage bags or for any other needs. In the end, every Russian family has a big plastic bag where they store all the other plastic bags. What if I need it someday? Russians usually say about anything in which you can put something. Russians also can't throw away those beautiful boxes or candies. and they use them to hold small things they're afraid to lose, such as threads or buttons.
Of course.
I can relate. Yeah, we do that for sure. I think it's more of a. I don't know if wealthy people do it in the UK, but every family, every friend's house I've ever been to, every family I've ever been to, we all have plastic bags.
Because yeah, I feel like it doesn't even come from like being cheap. It's more of a like rationality, you know?
Yeah.
Like I saw a lot of wealthy people from Russia who have the same thing in their
Right,
house.
right.
So it's not about being cheap or anything like that.
Okay.
It just comes from idea like being rational with this bags.
Yeah, I'm gonna use
But
this at
now
some
you
point.
can see that you have to pay for those bags and you get it.
This is exactly what happens in Pakistan as well. We use those bags in the garbage bins, and we can reuse those bags. Yeah, so this is how it works in Pakistan. Yeah.
Remember when we said about that if you want to feel home, you bring your home with me. Guess what's in my house? Exactly the same thing. So I've got a plastic bag full of plastic bags.
I can literally take you inside my house,
Yeah.
like follow me to the kitchen, and you can see the bags inside the other bags under the sink. It's definitely it's definitely relatable.
Zastolai. There is a passage in Alexander Pushkin's book, The Captain's Daughter. May God grant that we never again see so senseless and merciless a revolt. That could be attributed to a Russian feast or zastolye, from the word stol, table. There are loads of dishes, including 15 appetizers, 3 or 4 mayonnaise salads, and 3 types of main dishes, and much alcohol for sure. People sit at the table for many hours. If it's a major event, then from morning until midnight. The symbol of this feast is a wolf from old Soviet animation Once Upon a Dog. By accident, he came to a wedding, which normally doubles the amount of dishes, and sat under the table eating everything people gave to him. Finally, he had a huge belly and was so drunk that he decided to sing. Russians' favourite thing to do, a cappella, drunk singing. The most soulful and profound music that you will ever hear.
Do you guys eat a lot?
Yeah, and weddings we definitely eat a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weddings I think as the worst.
Yeah.
I think
It's like barrels of just rice and chicken
Yes.
and
Yeah,
beef, like everything.
When you have New Year, people, no matter how old they are, would start with sitting down with their families, and we count. So there's a thing with family as well. In Russia, family is everyone. Your grandparents, your brothers, your stepbrothers, your aunts and aunties, everyone. So they would all come down to the person who has the biggest table, and would create loads of food. And the whole table would be filled with different foods.
Pakistan, you call them for lunch maybe, and they'll end up sitting till like evening or night, and then we'll end up having dinner and tea together.
Yeah, because we have this
So-
cartoon. Did you watch that cartoon?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's like a cartoon about this wolf who was like sitting under the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was there the whole night. So by the time he finished, like he was so full and drunk that he couldn't even move. Yeah. So it's like, I think a lot of people can relate to this. That like food culture in certain collective cultures, like India, Pakistan, Russia, like China, is where people really appreciate certain things as aspects of culture. One of them is food. And people with collective culture, I guess, take it a little serious, because like if you go to Britain or like United States or Canada, the places where culture is a little more individualistic, people are not really appreciating these things as much as like people from like collective culture.
Yeah, I guess.